In retrospect, do you think it was good for the family dynamic, all your relationships with parents, brothers, everything, that the Bee Gees had such remarkable success and became such public figures?
Yes, I do. It's what you dream about. I think I don't know anything else, and I don't think I would do anything any different. I love music. I'm working with the Royal Philharmonic with my son at the moment, RJ, on the Titanic Requiem, which is for 2012, and which is fantastic. And you know, I'll be working with my brother next year. There's some very big things occurring with the Bee Gees next year, especially in America.
Well, I have to stop you there because it's interesting. You couldn't have said that a few years ago. There's big things happening with the Bee Gees because after the tragic death of Morris, your twin brother, within a week or so, you did say the Bee Gees, as a unit, you know, will never be recreated without Morris. And yet now here you are talking about the Bee Gees.
In terms of project, it is projects that are actually related to the catalogue that we've written and what's going to be happening with that catalogue in terms of major players in the United States, which will affect the whole world. And you have to remember, in the States, you get something like the Beatles, 24 or 26 number ones in the States. We've written and recorded and produced 22 US number ones, which is more than any other British act apart from the Beatles.
But you and Barry do go on stage together now.
We cherry pick.
Yeah, but when you do that, do you feel you are doing it as Bee Gees, or is it something very different now?
Well, the Bee Gees is something that we created. It's our creation. In a way, it's almost abstract, you know, when you say Bee Gees, because it's just a name. But we also see ourselves as the creators of that, as the chief composers, the chief sound. Even though you don't engineer it, it's just something that happens. You don't really know you are actually coming across a sound. But we're the major creators, and in a sense, whether we're the Bee Gees or the Gibb brothers, which is Bee Gees backwards, I suppose, it's just what we are.
Whatever it is, you're still doing it. I just want, you know, I was struck by something.
But we cherry pick the things that we do live shows. But the catalogue is so big that it is used, and it's in movies all the time. It's on the radio. It's a living catalogue on time, which we are very proud of.
Well, and people all over the world know your music. There's no doubt about that. But you did say once, and I think this is quite a reflective comment, and you've been through tough times in your life. You've been very open about that.
I've been in train crashes too, the Green train crash. Well, when I was 17 doing them last year, that was when nearly 80 people were killed in that.
Well, here's what you said, and it just seems to me it's an interesting sort of juxtaposition with a lot of your up-tempo, your very positive music. You said an artist is an artist because he's not happy with the world. So, as a result, he creates his own existence.
And Charles Dickens said the same thing. It's an extension of yourself, because no matter how much you use your art to actually fill the void within you, but it's a never-ending void, because no matter how much, you'll never be satisfied. The void is always there.
Is it? In your life? This sort of void that drives your creativity is as much there today as it ever was? Yeah.
I don't think you can say, oh, I retire at a certain point or do that. It's just something you have to do in your blood until you drop.
So if you got too happy, you know, if you were just too happy in your material world, would you not be able to write music anymore?
I think I don't think there's any such thing as actual happiness, but there is contentment. Contentment for me is actually is writing and composing and creating. I don't think, you know, as Churchill said, rest is rust. I don't think I'd like to stand still and just look at the sunset.
Yeah, well, you actually rather neatly linked into another of your interests. You mentioned Churchill. You have become somewhat preoccupied with a particular campaign, and that campaign is to get more recognition, indeed a massive new national monument for the young men who gave their lives for Britain in bomber command.
Absolutely,
that is, those who flew the bombers in the sorties.
55,000 of them, which have never been recognised for 70 years. Between the ages of 22, which not just laid down their lives for this country, but for all of Europe and Nazi-occupied Europe. Not for the German people, but for the Nazis.
Well, I'll tell you what intrigues me about this. You were born after the end of the Second World War. You've actually lived this sort of international life. You have a home in Florida. You've spent some of your youth in Australia. You are truly a sort of international person. Why have you developed this particular obsession, which is, you know, a very British obsession?
It is. Well, it's a world thing, because they were always seen as heroes. Even in Australia and America, they actually admire what these guys did, because they really ended the war and brought peace and freedom to a Europe which affected the world, including Germany itself.
Yes, you've just come back from Germany, and you
Yes.
probably know better than I do that some Germans, because of the scale of the monument you want to put up, they have real problems with it. I'm just thinking now about the mayor of Dresden, Helma Orus, who has said that she thinks what you are proposing for London, this big monument, is contrary to Dresden's notion of what remembrance is all about. Another councillor in Dresden called it utterly tasteless.
Well, from the point of view, I mean, I've got the backing of Boris Johnson and the Prime Minister and Nick Clegg right from the outset, and it's been passed by Westminster Council. It is going ahead. But the fact is, yes, of course they're going to be bitter about it, but this is an anti-war memorial. It's about showing young people that peace and democracy and justice are not just given things. They're not to be taken for granted. And these guys never got to see the freedom that they created, not just for the German people, for the whole world. And they did it without any reservations at all. They did it because they had to do it.
And without wishing to sound like a pop psychologist, are you doing this partly because maybe you feel your life has been too easy in a way? Is that why you are so interested in these young men who had to make the ultimate sacrifice?
They haven't been recognised. Of all the armed divisions, they have not been, and lost the most, of course, they have not been recognised for 70 years. And when you've got monuments of animals in Park Lane...
Why a pop star, with all the millions you've made,
pop star,
you know, wants to turn their attention
to this composer and musician
cause?
Is better than pop star, but popular music is... It's not just...
Fair point, but why then such a successful popular musician has
why not?
developed this particular interest?
And it certainly had an effect. The fact of the matter is, these guys are heroes. They should be honoured, and it's something that the whole country has supported, including newspapers, and it's actually, we're up to the point now where it's actually even been designed and passed.
And it will happen.
And it will happen.
All right, Robin
Be
Gibb.
there at the unveiling.
Thank you very much, Robin Gibb.
Thanks
for being on Hard Talk.